Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jazz and today I'm going to be doing another color palette-ish style challenge video. When I'm feeling like drawing but not feeling particularly inspired to draw anything in particular, I'll go to some sort of palette generation website or account or whatever, and I will generate a random palette until I get an idea that sparks my creativity. And the palette for this one was 2 oranges, a white, and 2 blues. So instantly I'm thinking warm, summery, fun, warm colors. So I wanted to draw somebody in a bathing suit with a popsicle, a blue popsicle, and I think that contrast would be really nice, the nice cool blues against the warm oranges. I will leave a link to the website I used to get the palette in the description down below if you want to use this technique for yourself. I did have a reference image for this drawing, but it ended up not looking too much like it just because the style I went for is a lot more cartoony than what I might usually go for. I put a lot more detail into stylizing the eyes for this illustration. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I like them, but I think I'm still going to be experimenting with styles for different body parts, different facial proportions, and even to what level of cartoon I really want my style to be, because it seems to change from video to video, and right now it's possibly just a little bit generic, so that's something I definitely want to focus on in the new year here. And because there were those bright oranges, I wanted her to really have something that would stand out as like a statement piece as opposed to just the popsicle. So I decided to give her these big round glasses that would look like sliced cross sections of oranges. I'm happy with how her face is turning out here, except that I think her eyes are at way too extreme an angle, so I end up correcting that later on. I do like that kind of extremeness, it gives her a bit of personality, but I think it ended up looking better when I correct them in the future. Also, since Photoshop updated to Photoshop 2021, there have been some terrible bugs going on. I have no idea what's happening, but I can't save any of my images unless I turn off all of the layers. I also am having trouble merging layers down, and I was also having trouble transforming layers sometimes, so Photoshop should get on that because those are vital tools. That's not like some little thing that can be, oh, it doesn't really matter, it's just a small tool that nobody uses. This is like majorly important stuff. Saving your documents? Ugh, I don't know. I looked everywhere for how to fix it, but if anybody knows what's going on, let me know. So I used that darkest red-orange color. I don't think that's in the palette, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But I didn't want to do a straight black because of the oranges that we were using. So I did step out of the color palette a couple times. I don't really stick to these palette challenges as directly as some others might. I basically just use them as an inspiration in the majority color palette. So this dark brown and a sort of reddish, more pink color, and a brighter yellow are all colors I end up bringing into the palette for things like blush, and highlighting, and also the line art, obviously, because I didn't think I had a dark enough color for that. I really wanted to bring in some nice warm vibes here, so I put her hair up in a bun, and tried to put a decent amount of detail into it because, as I've said in previous videos, when there isn't a lot going on in an illustration, I like to focus on one part of the illustration that has quite a bit more detail than the others, so it makes the illustration look more complete and more intricate overall. So that was my goal there, with her eyes and her hair. I was having a little bit of trouble with the shape of her face because her mouth is open and sort of tilted to one side, so that changes the shape of her jaw. And I was very confused about how that changed, so I was definitely struggling with that, but I think I managed to make it look somewhat believable. I also wanted to keep her bathing suit relatively simple, though I think this might have looked a little bit better if I had done a bust up instead of breaking right at the collarbone. And that also would have allowed me to have fun designing her bathing suit and maybe have put some simple oranges on it. I'm not sure. I would say I'm 7.5 out of 10 happy with this drawing. I also really wanted to make her eyebrows look bushier, but I was struggling with that as well. I tried over and over and over again. She does have some pretty intense eyebrows, and they make her face more emotive, but they're not quite as bushy as I wanted them to look, so that's another thing that I wasn't the most happy with. I do like her eyes and her eyelashes, though. I think they have an interesting amount of detail on them. I wanted to have these orange earrings to tie into the orange motif I was going to use overall. They would match her glasses. I tried to draw those circles freehand, and it was not working, so I figured since it's glasses, it might be okay to use a shape tool. They're not typically the greatest thing to use because they make your work look a little bit more artificial, but I'm not unhappy with them. I used this very saturated orange for the skin. All of the colors in the palette are kind of outside of what is humanly possible. That's not a very accurate skin tone, but I was going for something that had a little bit more of a pop art feel. I still haven't figured out how to use my fill bucket tool without it looking awful, so I guess I'm coloring everything by hand. I also started by trying to draw out the shapes of the oranges, and it did not look good, so I ended up using a different technique to do that. I used that light blue as a background color so that it wouldn't conflict with anything else that was going on in the illustration, and I also used the white to shade the edges of the character so it looked like she was being hit with a really strong side lighting. It definitely gave her some depth and made the rest of her face look in shadow because I didn't really have an in shadow color. When you consider that I used the darker orange for her hair, I couldn't brush that up against her skin, otherwise it would make her hair look odd. So my solution to that was that orange color was her face in shadow, and then you see the white at the edge of the face. Adds a little bit more depth. I tried a couple times to add some yellow to her hair, and I do eventually add a yellow that I'm happy with, but I don't think there's enough contrast between the two different oranges in the palette to really make it work. I lightened up one side of the popsicle a little bit and tried to make it shiny and wet. I'm not sure how much I succeeded with that. I like it, but it doesn't look like the most realistic popsicle, and also because of how it's cut right out of frame, it makes it kind of seem like she's eating a floating popsicle. So again, maybe bust up would have been best instead of cutting off right at the shoulders here. This orange color that I'm using for her glasses, I also don't really like, so I end up using a brighter yellow color, and that looks good to me. It really draws the attention to her eyes, and I use the straight line tool to correct that. I had to look up a reference image of an orange, and it turns out the lighter part is actually around the outside, so I had to change that. And I think it looks really good. I'm actually really happy with how these orange glasses turned out. I'm not sure how I could have made them better. I know I could have, because I add a shine on them at the end, and I'm not sure if that ruined them, or again, probably about a 7.5 out of 10 happy with them. The shine definitely makes them look more like glasses, but it interrupts that orange shape, and I'm not sure it's very clear anymore. I also do go in and erase that part of her eyebrow that's intercepting the glasses. So yes, I added that red blush to make her seem a little bit more alive and add a little bit more color variance, and because I put that red color as her tongue, because the dark orange just wasn't selling it, so I needed to put that color in a few other places in the illustration so as not to make it stand out. When I was erasing the lines for her eyebrows, I think I accidentally erased a little bit of the line over one of her eyes, so it kind of flattened out a bit, and I did not notice until I was done with this illustration, so whoops. I tried a couple different backgrounds. I knew I wanted something because otherwise it's just plain, but in the end I did these little illustrated oranges from my brain, and I think they turned out very cute. I go through them in a couple different styles to see if maybe there's a way that I like them more than this. I try flipping them around a little bit to give some variety, but honestly the way I liked it best was just a couple rows of oranges and a little bit lowered opacity, so you could see a bit of the blue background come through it. And with that, I am just about done. I add my signature and my handle, which you can go to on either Instagram or Twitter. I also want to say that I'm streaming on Twitch. Not very often recently, but I should get back into it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Oh, there I go. Adding that final yellow color on her hair that I think really makes it stand out. But thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. I will be trying to upload more frequently than I have been, but I hope you have a wonderful day and all that jazz.